Less than 100 miles from a war-torn capital city and at the edge of a vast desert that stretches across nations, there's a province of Yemen that's a kind of oasis. It's not a place where you'd expect to see row upon row of citrus trees producing thousands of tons of vibrant oranges. And yet the varieties produced here in the province of Marib, which include navel and Newhall oranges, are said to be exceptionally good. And this year, farmers expect to produce 248,000 tons of them. It would be a lucrative opportunity for economic growth in a country with massive widespread poverty. But amid the challenges of growing fruit in a nation gripped by civil war is the lack of people looking to invest. Workers say there aren't a lot of ways to market Marib's superior citrus. There's not a lot of agricultural research going on. Yemen doesn't have the infrastructure in place to become a major international supplier. There is something special in the trees. It's just a question of whether the stability and support will come to grow it beyond borders. Hi, I'm Carl Azuz. Wherever you're watching, we warmly welcome you to the world from A to Z. Quick follow-up to a story we reported yesterday. The rift between the U.S. and the South American nation of Colombia appears to be over. It came and went quickly. On Sunday, Colombian President Gustavo Petro refused to accept deportation flights from the U.S. that were carrying Colombians who were in the states illegally. Then, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened 25% tariffs or taxes on Colombian goods sold in America, along with other penalties, and Colombia threatened tariffs of its own. But by Sunday night, the White House said Colombia had, quote, agreed to all of President Trump's terms on the deportation flights, and that the U.S. would hold off on penalizing Colombia. Detailed coverage of the controversy is in Monday's show at worldatozorg. Another story we mentioned yesterday was the 80th anniversary of when the infamous Auschwitz concentration camp was liberated during World War II. On Monday, survivors joined world leaders for commemoration events at the site of the camp, which Nazi Germany built in occupied Poland. More than 1.1 million people, an estimated 90% of them Jews, perished at Auschwitz.
What I'm about to tell you now, I had absolutely no knowledge of myself.
For the last 13 years, Jackie Young has been taking teenagers beyond the history books.
The war had been on already over 2 years.
Educating them about the Holocaust by retelling his harrowing story as a baby sent to a Nazi concentration camp.
How and why I survived 2 years, 8 months as a 9-month-old baby, I still do not know.
It was 1945 when Jackie arrived in the UK on a British Royal Air Force plane. His adoptive parents never told Jackie he was a Holocaust survivor, keeping his early life secret for years.
Any little piece of the puzzle of my past would be more than welcome.
It's a puzzle that he's yet to complete, but with each piece, a moment of clarity for 83-year-old Jackie.
What is something you haven't found out yet, but you would like to?
And an awakening of the minds for this younger generation.
How did the whole process change your identity and the way you see the world today?
It's what I call cathartic.
With each passing year, some fear this generation could be the last to hear from Holocaust survivors. Their testimonies consigned to footnotes in history books.
Given what we heard from Jackie and the lessons from history, how does his story shape all of you who are the future?
I feel that it really highlights the importance and the need to stand up to prejudice and stand up for those who are vulnerable.
That kind of story kind of leaves you wondering, what about the other children that had their same story? What happened with them? Do they know what happened? Do they not know?
What do you think they take away from it?
I'd like to think that they have opened their eyes a bit to what can happen with humanity.
Life lessons from a Holocaust survivor whose story of trauma and resilience will hopefully reverberate beyond the school walls.
American technology stocks were rattled yesterday. Up to this point, experts believed the United States was the clear frontrunner in the race to develop artificial intelligence, and American companies have invested billions into the technology. However, A Chinese AI application named DeepSeek just became the most downloaded app in America, and it was reportedly developed for a fraction of the cost of US products like ChatGPT. Because of that, some investors pulled their money out of American tech stocks yesterday, causing them to lose hundreds of billions of dollars in stock market value. We'll be keeping tabs on what happens next with the technology and those who invest in it.
Word of knowledge. Who wrote the novel Mansfield Park, which was first published in 1814? Louisa May Alcott, Charlotte Bronte, Daphne du Maurier, Jane Austen. This novel, along with Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Emma, were all written by Jane Austen.
On this date in world history. January 28, 1986, tragedy struck the U.S. space program. Shortly after liftoff from Cape Canaveral, Florida, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded, killing all 7 astronauts on board. Unusually cold temperatures, a part that malfunctioned, and poor decision-making by NASA were all blamed for the disaster. On this date in 1985, dozens of singers and songwriters gathered in Los Angeles, California, a day after the American Music Awards, to record a song named We Are the World. The hit raised more than $60 million to help people suffering from famine in Africa. The United States Coast Guard was created on this date in 1915. The congressional act signed by President Woodrow Wilson combined the life-saving service with the revenue cutter service to form the new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. Finally, to be fond of dancing was a certain step towards falling in love. That's a quote from Jane Austen's famous novel Pride and Prejudice. First published in Britain on January 28, 1813, the book was a hit from the beginning and hasn't gone out of print since.
Where in the world? This is a nation with 3 capitals. It shares its name with the continent where it's located. You'll find it between the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. This is South Africa, whose capitals are Bloemfontein, Cape Town, and Pretoria.
One of those capitals is our first stop in today's World of Viewers. We're excited to see the staff and students of Winburg Boys High School. It's in the South African city of Cape Town. Thank you for watching our show. From the Golden State on the U.S. West Coast, we've got Mr. Rose class with us. Big hello to Panama Buena Vista Union Schools in Bakersfield, California. And moving north from there, it's the Bears of Central Valley High School who are next. Mr. Gibbs' class is in Spokane Valley, Washington, the Evergreen State.
Stargazers and skywatchers are in for a treat as over the next few weeks, worlds align in the night sky to give a rare view of 6 total planets in an infrequent but certainly freaky planetary parade. In one sweeping south by southeast view, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars will be clearly visible, with Uranus and Neptune also in attendance, although you'll likely need a telescope to see those. While the crowded view comes courtesy of the worlds being in alignment, NASA says this occurrence isn't as uncommon as it sounds. The planets of our solar system are technically always in alignment across an orbital line called the ecliptic plane. What is special is how many planets will be seen together from our earthbound vantage. That's what makes this infrequent marvel worth keeping your eyes on the skies. I'm Jeremy Roth.
When I announced the launch of the world from A to Z, I promised there'd be pandas. Well, promise kept. Now, you're not going to find these animals solving the quadratic formula anytime, but when it came to a recent snowfall at a zoo in East Central China, Ling Yan made the most of it, like a big, furry, bear-shaped kid. Zookeepers say this particular specimen is known for having an energetic personality, which makes me ponder if I should dare to suggest there's a panda ring in thinking maybe bears a pandication that people and pandas are more bearable than they snow. Or maybe that's just pandering. I'm Carl Azuz for the world from A to Z. It makes our day to be part of yours.